Dear friends, Operator Starsky here, and this is In Time.
Hello, welcome everyone to Downtime. Thank you all for joining us. So we're going to be doing something a little different today, and to explain to the newcomers who've never seen this kind of craziness before, In Time actually has two channels, and we have two channels because even though we believe that the content is kind of similar, it's there's differences in tone and how we present it. They're educational, and one's laid back. It's Downtime. We also have After Dark. We have the call-in show, and then we have our news shows. They're all roughly the same kind of content, but to YouTube, they're very, very different. And having Downtime on the same channel as In Time really hits us in the algorithm. You wouldn't think it would. It shouldn't. It does. It does. It's noticeable. So we created another channel, Downtime, to host our more sort of laid back, these kinds of shows, stuff like that. And when we came back, we decided to just put it all on one channel for now until we sort of got our legs under us. We're doing much better in that regard, camera issues notwithstanding. It wouldn't be In Time if something didn't get screwed up. And so we're bringing the other channel back, and the more lighthearted content, the discussion, stuff like that, that's going to be moved to the Downtime channel. So tonight we are simulcasting on both. The live chats, if you see the restream bot, it will copy the chat from one to the other, so you guys can actually talk to each other. But we are asking people to go like and subscribe on the sort of our sister channel. Now, that channel was monetized, but because we didn't air and it fell below the monetization threshold, it has now been demonetized. It is close to being monetized, very close. A few more subs, a few more watch hours, it'll be monetized. Right now, it's not. So if you want to give us a super chat, and we've already had one come in, so I'm going to say thank you for that, and I will get to that in a second. If you want to give us a super chat, you got to do that on In Time, but we're asking everybody to go to the Downtime channel. If you're interested in this show in particular, like, subscribe, help us out over there. And from now on, this show will be over there. So 2 channels. We have had, and I wasn't going to do this right away, but we've actually had some complaints, and this is kind of what sparked it last time too, was people are like, why are you guys just, talking about, whatever we talk about on Downtime? And it can be quite varied. From illicit relations with hippopotami to deposing my dog in a criminal trial. One of which is completely true, the other one's mostly true. At any rate, it's a different kind of show. So if you're interested in the Downtime material, subscribe to both channels. If you just want In Time, just do In Time. And that really actually boosts us in the algorithm. It makes it so that you can pick and choose the content you want to see, and you're not going to get notifications for stuff that you're less interested in. If you're interested in all of it, subscribe to both. So that's, my dog was deposed. No, he wasn't deposed. He was about to be deposed. It took them a little while to figure out he was a dog. My faith in the U.S. legal system has plummeted. The deposition of my dog is probably not the worst thing, but it certainly didn't help. So let's see, we have a $20 super chat from Dunk on You. Thank you so much for your continued support. Howdy, big strange news day. Putin is bat guano crazy. I haven't been keeping up with Putin. The U.S. government is about to shut down. Trump has ordered the Republicans that are loyal. He's not even fucking president yet, and that's the other thing, which is we're going to be swearing a lot more on Downtime and not on In Time. Downtime is going to be laid back. That's the channel where we can swear a lot more. In Time we're not, and now we're simulcasting to both, and I'm like, my brain doesn't know what to do. Poor Titan is going to have an aneurysm because this is not easy this is my birthday present to myself. So I've gotten birthday presents, Christmas presents for everyone. 𝐒𝐸𝐿𝐻 has gotten the long-awaited, and we've been doing a fundraiser for 𝐒𝐸𝐿𝐻 for a long time. It was Sinister Porpoise who started it, so he will be getting full tuition scholarship for his PhD in Gender Studies program. Commander will be getting a lifetime supply of lemon chiffon ice cream delivered to his house. And Titan...
So one of those little, like, half-cup size ice cream things? Yeah, that's a lifetime supply for me.
that's a cup. Well, if I had known that, I wouldn't have ordered the gallon a day. Well, I'm sure you'll find out. Yeah. and Titan is getting to mod 2 live chats while he's only got powers in any one at any given time. Hopefully nobody says anything about that to the audience, because if they knew, wow. Anyways, you're welcome, Titan. The problem is it's just, I don't know why I like to poke the bear. It's like between him and Greg Terry, and it's just like I see a bear, I have to poke it. Speaking of, I gotta this one. A man died in Texas, 58-year-old man. Cause of death, bear fall. A bear landed on him. Apparently, he was hunting, saw a bear, decided best way to kill it would be up close. It was in a tree, ran all the way up to it, aimed straight up, shot the bear, managed to kill it. It fell out of the tree, landed on him, and I guess they call that karma. Only in Texas. Or Florida, I suppose.
Does that make it one of those mythical drop bears?
Well, that's what. Yeah. That's so. Titan had sent that one to me, and he said, "You see, you can tell Australia that it's not only we have drop bears too." Blonde Bombsheller, member for 3 months. You should have Titan have an assistant mod. I completely agree. Titan needs an assistant mod. We'll have to work on that. Well, he's actually already got one who's also going to kick my ass if she hears me say this, because Maya is currently the assistant head mod. But, I think Maya needs an assistant. UTV and Ham gifted 1 in-time membership. Thank you so much. And thank you for your super chat on that show that we had that lasted 30 seconds because I had no camera. And Duncan, you also gifted 5 memberships to In Time. So thank you very much. I can't wait till Downtime gets monetized again. And again, this is going to be the last Downtime show on In Time. So if you want to see these in the future, these shows, you're going to have to go to our sister channel. Link is at the top. I've been dropping the link every now and then too, and you're going to have to like, subscribe, hit the bell there if you want to get these shows. If you want to see our regular in-time breaking news, all that other stuff, that's going to be on the in-time channel. Nothing's changing there. So, and
we don't have enough uptime on our downtime because we haven't been in time to do on the show on time. So if you could help us out with that, that would be great.
So we can have a fun time.
Yes.
Okay. Just clarify.
Help me. Someone. Anyone.
Poor Nick. We broke him.
Yeah. It's as if the holidays. I was talking to my eldest.
It's your fault. You did it.
I did. I'm actually impressed. I didn't want to say this, but I'm impressed because that was a lot of like references in one sentence, and we've all done that at some point. But I think you just broke the record. I thought you were going to say something else. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
That's probably the first time.
the first time?
He broke the record.
Oh, yeah. So I was talking to my eldest and venting because I think as an adult, it's not only that Christmas isn't the same because, for children, it's one thing. For adults, it's another. And for adults, it ends up just being so much more work because, it's like you got to drive through the snow, you got to get the presents, you got to, do X, Y, and Z, and it just becomes, more hassle than anything else. And it can be a little sad because, I'm not sure. I'm certainly not into the religious aspects of it. I've got plenty of objections to that. But I do think I think human beings need to find ways to mark time and to celebrate the good things and to remind ourselves to try to see the glass as half full instead of half empty. And I think Christmas is a very good opportunity to do that. But so I was talking and I was saying, I think adults get kind of jaded on it. And it becomes nothing but work. And so she said, well, is that where you're at? And I was like, sometimes. But it's funny because I was like, what's my favorite Christmas memory? And we have a lot to get into, but I was figuring I'd ask the two of you that. I'll tell you mine. I'll ask the two of you that. Mine is the one that you'd think is the worst and that I complained about the most, which was Christmas Day, 3 a.m., I'm asleep, just dead, passed out, because it's 3 fucking a.m. And door bursts open, light from the hallway just comes in, and it's like so bright I can't see anything. 2 little girls fly through the air, land on my pancreas and some organ here I didn't even know I had, and then start bouncing because apparently that's good for the internal organs and the rib cage. It's Christmas, we can open presents now. We're like, no, the rule is 9 a.m. And as many times as that happened, and I hated it every single time, that's my favorite memory of Christmas. I don't think I have I don't think I have one that they're too old now for that. I remember the very first time they didn't do that. I remember the first Christmas where they didn't do that. 9 o'clock rolled around and we came out and they're like, hey, it's time and it's ready and let's go downstairs. And I was just like, oh, man. So that's it. So, Lance, how about you?
I'd have to say I've got 2 incidents that are kind of tied. So the first one was, it takes a while to explain this one. We had, on our way back to India, between my dad's 2 assignments to India, the first being in Mumbai and the second one in Delhi. On the way back, we had stopped for a week in Hawaii as a vacation with the family. And we'd been riding around on the city bus to get around the island. And my dad had given me his, not given for me to own, but given me to use, because I thought it was cool, his little Minox camera. Now, I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a camera that's basically about that size, maybe 3 inches long and 1 inch wide. So maybe a ½ inch deep. At the time, they were considered spy cameras because they were so small and you could hide them anywhere. Anyway, he'd given this to me so I could use it to take pictures while we were in Hawaii. And I foolishly forgot it on the bus, and we were never able to recover it. And I felt so hugely guilty because I was told how important this was, and this was Daddy's special camera and all this kind of stuff. Well, long story short, we get to India, and the next Christmas, I'm opening a present, and it's the Minox camera, or what I thought was the Minox camera, and with a card, from Santa, so you can give it back to your dad like you should have back in Hawaii.
Oh my God.
Now, I didn't know, but this was the other Minox camera my father had for work.
For
Work.
diplomacy.
Yeah, yeah, and so very sheepishly, Dad, I'm so sorry I lost it. Obviously, I didn't know at the time. It was years later that I was told what had really happened. But that one was very meaningful and probably kept me believing in Santa Claus for much longer than most of my contemporaries, because this really had happened. The lost camera had somehow magically materialized. So that was pretty wild. The second one was also while we were in India, and we were living in New Delhi, and I didn't know at the time that my parents had bought bicycles for both me and my brother. And they bought them, again, through a mail order thing from, if I remember this correctly, a real retailer based out of Singapore who was selling French bicycles, which had the instructions translated into English by Malaysians. You can sense the opportunity for disaster. So anyway, Christmas Eve, after the kids had been put to bed, my parents were trying to assemble these, and they were having difficulty. And as was normal back in that day, all my parents' diplomatic friends would drop by for a little Christmas cheer just to say hi and wish everybody Merry Christmas. So as the evening wore on, everybody who came in was recruited into helping try to figure out how to assemble these bicycles. And so it was, and I can't remember all of them, but it was like the Russian KGB resident, the Indian military attaché, the engineer in charge of the building maintenance, and
CIA station chief.
Embassy. Oh, yeah. I mean, it just went on and on and on. And there were like 20 people all crowded around these two bikes trying to figure out what this stupid instruction translated by people who didn't speak English from the French, which they probably didn't speak either, for a Japanese bicycle, or excuse me, a French bicycle. It was so crazy. And throughout this whole thing, we had been told, okay, go to bed, and you can't come back into this room until dawn is here. Now, kids, being kids, legally speaking, had translated dawn as D-O-N. And every time the doorbell would ring when somebody was there, we'd rush to the door and poke our heads in. Is dawn here yet? No, dawn's not here. We mean when the sun comes up. Okay. And the next time, is dawn here now? And eventually they did get the bikes more or less together, but I don't think they ever got the brakes assembled quite correctly.
Well, getting started is the important part.
Oh, yeah. But these had what are called back pedal brakes, not hand brakes. So what you did is you pedaled backwards and it engaged the brake and would stop you. Well, somehow I think they got it wrong, because all we had to do to have the brakes slam on was stop pedaling forward.
Oh my God.
Which became really interesting when we go to the nearby park, which had this long, fairly steep hill, which we'd have to go down pedaling like there was no end to our lives. Because if we didn't stop, if we didn't keep pedaling, the brakes would engage and we'd flip ass over tea kettle. Anyway, those are my two silliest Christmas memories.
All right. Okay. Well, Xandering, apologies. Because now you got to follow that up. I don't know what you're going to do.
I don't know what I'm going to do either, because all mine are like lame after that. Like, that's actually interesting. I guess watching my step-granddaughter open her presents is always really fun every Christmas, because just the sheer joy in her face and everything she gets. And it's like, I swear to God, you could wrap that child a sock you found in the gutter, and if you put it in wrapping paper and gave it to her, she would be so excited when she opened it and saw it. I love it. She loved everything. Now she's a teenager and doesn't love quite so many things anymore. A little more difficult to shop for. I guess one of my favorite Christmases, just from on a personal level, was watching the Fellowship of the Ring on Christmas Day in Singapore. That was interesting.
Yeah.
In Singapore.
In the theater or on the ship?
Yep, in the actual theater in Singapore.
Was that the
released Christmas?
Was that where you got the hooker, or was that another?
No, that was Thailand. That was
Thailand. That was Thailand. Okay. Was
close. I mean, those countries are close together.
Yeah. And I realized maybe that was something that was supposed to be kept on the QT. Apologies for that one. I don't know why I said that.
It should be, unless you're going to actually explain the whole story.
We don't have time for context.
It is absolutely true.
We don't have time for context right now. We're kind of on a clock. Oh, we are behind. So,
so many agenda items.
Agenda items. All right. No, I outed you for the hooker, so you're going to have to tell a story.
Oh, it was. I think it was the second or third time we were in Thailand. So I had kind of done all the touristy things. I'd gone on several of the MWR tours that they had offered, which were awesome. I don't know why more people didn't do that. It was really cool. I'm sure it was like the locals are laughing at us going, oh, look at all these stupid tourists, don't really. But it was still really freaking cool. And then the obligatory got drug around to all the bars. And so it's like, okay, well, what are we going to do now? I was actually kind of getting tired of Thailand. So it must have been the third time we went there. I'm like, we kind of did everything. I want to do something different. So one of the older OSs was like, well, if you really want to go kind of see new and wonderful things, and what you need to do is go down and, they've got all of the hookers that are around there, and just find one of them that actually, speaks English. That's important. Make sure you find one that speaks English, because you don't want too many misunderstandings.
You want to be crystal clear about the services you're requesting.
Yeah. It's like you want to make sure they can understand you. I offer them $20 American, specifically a $20 bill, and say, hey, can you show me around all of the cool things for the day? And so we went in. I got one of the radio men went in and said, okay, we're going to try this, half thinking that he was pulling our leg, that this was some strange initiation thing, like go down to DC Central, get an HT punch.
Oh God. Okay,
or go get some relative bearings. So I was thinking it was kind of one of those things where okay, what have we gotten ourselves? But no, actually, it was ended up being really fun. And we went down, and we walked around some of the bars, because they're all hanging around the bars in Phuket. So we just went down. We found two that spoke fairly good English, and I was like, hey, I just want to. What do you do around here for fun? So what would you say you do around here? I got $20 if you can show me around. And their faces lit up, and they drug us all over the place. We went to all these cool places to eat. They cooked us dinner. And that ended up being very interesting to see where all of the locals actually go and what they do. So yes, I hired a hooker for the day for $20.
It sounds like you hired like 5 or 6.
No, we hired 2. There was
Well, that
one of
makes
the radio
better,
men.
yeah.
Well, I guess technically at that point I guess at that point he was in IT. I mean, they changed from radio men to information second. So he was IT to Narragon, and I went down and decided we'd give it a shot. I don't know how long OS2 Shankton had been in the Navy. He looked like he was like 70 something years old, and he was still in OS2. But he's like, oh, I've been here like 27 times. You know, he was the one that always had the well, back in my day. So he was always a barrel of fun. So yeah, we did that. I think that one was actually because that was where we stopped just before we went to. So it was just before Christmas that we did that. So it's actually tolerable weather too.
And this is the kind of story that would tell on Downtime, which is now on In Time, for some reason. So we just got tanked in the algorithm again.
Because Downtime doesn't have Downtime doesn't have enough uptime.
Oh God! So, yeah. Okay. We heard you the first time. Don't let Lance tell his Downtime joke. Okay. I'm still pissed at him for that one. What was I going to say?
Yeah. At least this isn't a waste of time.
That's right.
Oh, I forgot to. We will be announcing new hosts for Downtime and In Time in the coming weeks. Just letting people know.
New for the new year.
Completely unrelated to this stream. I'm just glad that when my kids ask and they're like, "Daddy,
hey, you invited me. I was just driving down the road, and you called me up and said, "Hey, so Lance and I are doing Downtime tonight. We'd like you to join us."
The road, minding my own business, went out of nowhere.
Yep.
Well, and here my eldest is going to be like, "How did the Christmas stream for In Time go?" I was like, well, we talked about. No, I can't tell her about that. Can't tell her that story. No, it went fine. We told Christmas stories. Like what? None of your business.
This one time in Thailand.
No good story begins with that.
All right.
Goodness.
Well, speaking of hilarity,
there aren't many stories. There are not many Navy stories that start off with this one time in Thailand that actually end well.
Yeah, and there's a disproportionate number of Navy stories that do start that way. So it's okay. Speaking
I don't
of
know why they still go to Thailand of all places. Jeez.
This one time in Sydney.
We don't get to go to Sydney. We had to go to Melbourne.
Oh.
Oh,
we weren't supposed to go there. We were supposed to, I think, go to Melbourne as well, but the ship broke down and drifted for 3 days, and finally had to tow us into the nearest port, which was Sydney.
Well,
that's one way to go.
Yeah, that got you there. Okay, well, speaking of hilarious events, clowns, and prostitutes, let's talk about Trump's cabinet picks, and and what's going on.
Right into this conversation.
Yeah, they will. Well, the Gates report is going to come out now, so they have they've said that they're going to release the Gates report, and I don't know what's in it, but I am 99.9% sure that we could not read it to you on air. That's mostly not joke. What we've heard from the leaks is just extraordinarily bad, and yeah. So that report is now going to be coming out. I'm thinking we're going to see it tomorrow. Gates obviously had to withdraw from the Justice Department nomination because I couldn't write a book about this because the problem it's what Twain said about writing. He's like, the difference between fiction and nonfiction is that fiction has to make sense, if I were writing a book, nobody would believe this, not any of it. They're like, yeah, Gates as Justice Department. At any rate, so we'll find out what's in that. I don't think we're going to go to breaking with that because, honestly, he doesn't deserve any more time or attention, but it's worth noting that it's going to be released, and we'll have it on our Discord. Come join us on our Discord. As a reminder to those of you just showing up, In Time has 2 channels, kind of a looser Let Your Hair Down channel. That's the one, that's the show you're watching right now. That's on Downtime. That's our sister channel. We put the looser content there, the content where we're not as worried about getting demonetized, where we're not as worried about what we can say. It's also, it's just a backup channel. It's it's In Time just like anything else. These shows are going to be on that channel. So if you're watching right now, and you're on In Time, you'll see a pinned message. You can go to Downtime. That's where you're going to see us. Like, subscribe. And if you watch from there, that really helps us out too, because we need to build up the hours there. So Downtime from now on is going to be there. And then when we tell our Christmas hooker stories, they will be relegated to that and not to In Time. And
in all fairness, I wasn't going to tell that story because it didn't actually happen on Christmas. You had to bring it up, so
I did. And again, it's about poking the bear.
He can't resist.
I can't resist, and it's well,
like
poking
me
the bear
and fuzzy animals. Yeah. I have to. My gravestone will say, "Here lies Isandring. He pet something he shouldn't have." I have to pet it. I got to pet a grizzly bear.
His last words were, "It's so cute." You got to pet a grizzly bear?
I could just die. Yeah, I did get to pet a grizzly bear.
A living one, I assume.
They're very kind of squishy about doing that too. I mean, there's so many things because there's a little place where you can go see grizzly bears just outside of Yellowstone in Montana, and so I had some time to kill, and they had a big enough parking lot, so I went in, and I mean it's kind of touristy and kind of cheesy, I guess, but they have a few grizzly bears in there, and kind of like think of the one like on the tram ride everybody sees where everybody says hi and the bear waves at them.
Yeah,
that's kind of like what this is, and that's kind of how these bears are. I don't know if they tranquilize the hell out of them or if they're just that inured to everything going on around them, but they're fat and just happy, and so they'll come up and
another gummy.
Yeah, they'll be feeding the bear up front, and then they've got a little box thing, and they've got somebody standing by, and you can reach through and actually pet the bear, and their hair is incredibly coarse and kind of oily.
Wow.
Just much like tigers. I thought a tiger would be a lot softer. I got to pet a tiger too.
You really do? Yeah. I'm surprised you've lasted this long. Darwin would have had something to say about this kind of behavior by now, but okay.
I'm working towards a lion. I'm thinking of maybe doing an African safari to pet a lion and a cheetah. Then I'll have all the big cats covered. I need to get a leopard too.
We'll get Viper to take you on a safari.
We'll pet the rhino.
Or the hippo. Those things are...
Make sure you approach them straight on where you can't see.
Plants!
Don't move. They can't see you if you don't move.
If you don't move.
It's like, wait, you're talking about Jurassic Park. No, I'm pretty sure I watched it. It was David Attenborough. That was a funny. I hope people got that reference.
Yes.
Well, so as to God, there's so much going on. So I guess there's something going on in Ukraine, and would like to cover that. We may end up having to do Tuesday. We're going to do a show on Tuesday. It is Christmas Day, but both myself and Xandring will have time, so presumably there will be a regular In Time show on Tuesday. I know we're going to have to cover a lot on Ukraine, but what's going on right now is Trump is throwing a temper tantrum, and the government's going to shut down, the U.S. government. That's what it looks like. So Trump has ordered everybody in Congress not to pass any spending bill that doesn't meet certain requirements. Republicans scrambled to design a bill that would meet those requirements. And he's not even fucking president yet. He's not even president yet. And apparently they did come up with a bill the bill was rejected because it catered so much to what Trump wanted. It alienated members of both parties, and they unified to block the bill. So at this point, it looks like there won't be any funding, and the government's going to shut down. My understanding is tomorrow. So they always say a shutdown always hurts the incumbent, but the incumbent's not. The incumbent almost seems to be Trump at this point. It's really kind of a weird position we're in because his cabinet picks are. He's making far more news than Biden is. I don't think anyone remembers who Biden is. So I don't know anybody.
Short-term memory loss.
Yeah, even Biden does it. Biden's like, who's president?
Yeah. Even Biden doesn't remember Biden.
It's like, I heard this guy named Biden was president. I heard he was pretty good. Okay. Heard he pardoned his son. Why would you do that? All right. So let's see. I don't even know where to begin. They're talking about making Elon Musk Speaker of the House, which is technically possible. I don't. Okay. Oh, okay. Let's start with Kash Patel. Kash Patel. We were going to do a story on the number of stories that we've been working on, but we can't catch up because there's so much news. It's like we still want to do a story on Martina Bustiana. I can never get her last name right. She was the FSB agent who infiltrated the NRA. And then snuggled up to Mitch McConnell, and she really snuggled up to what's his name? Lance, do you remember the guy's name that she was having the affair with?
Not offhand.
But she, and she is just one example of Russian agents that have managed to infiltrate high levels, at least in the RNC. Presumably, they're doing the same thing to the DNC, and we'll get into that. But we've been working on a story on her for a while. Now we got to add Kash Patel. Kash Patel. I'd like to talk a little bit about what people who have worked with him have to say about him. Oh, and I'm going to try to get that picture of his storybook if I can, because he wrote a children's book, and I'd like to tell you about the children's book that he wrote, and I'd like to get a picture of it, so I will see if I can find that. But Kash Patel was cited an order of ineptitude in court. He was a public defender at the time. When he was working in the first Trump White House, and it was decided that maybe he should be promoted to Assistant Attorney General, Attorney General Bill Barr said, quote, "That will happen over my dead body." Sounds pretty negative to me. The director of the CIA said that if he was put in any position at the CIA, she would resign. At the time, he was working under the National Security Advisor, who said, the National Security Advisor said that Patel was, quote, "absolutely unqualified and untrustworthy. It is a disgrace to American citizens, to even consider an individual of this nature." So that is Trump's pick for director of the FBI. Any thoughts?
Can I renounce my human citizenship?
Or at least the American one, but maybe and he's one of those. He's vowed to. He wrote an actual book on all the people that they're going to go after. It includes Bill Barr. It includes any media personality that said anything negative about him. So, and he's even included in the book, it shows tweets that were negative about him and says we're going after these people for being un-American. This sounds awfully familiar and is. I'm going to say this, as much as I laugh about it, it's really fucking scary. And I'm going to show. I think
we tried McCarthyism once before, and that didn't really get us anywhere.
So, Lance, any thoughts? I'm going to see if I can find a screenshot of his book, because his book is awesome.
I think the comment you made about you've been wanting to do a story, but you haven't been able to because there's just so much other stuff happening with this, and it's true. This is the clown car at the circus that just keeps on giving. You wait 48 hours and out pops another, what the hell are they thinking? Nominee for some important position. It's just mind-boggling.
Well, and what's even more mind-boggling is the fact that this is so low on the priority list that we can't even get to it.
Yeah. And, I honestly can't help but wonder if what they're doing is putting these incompetents in positions that will appeal to the base, but knowing full well that these incompetents are going to botch it almost from the very start, so that they can then start showing that, oh no, Trump is in charge, he's the man with his finger on the pulse of government, and fire them so they can hire the quote real unquote nominee for the job. I can't think of any other logical reason why that they pick these people for these positions.
The only thing that I can think of is because he really does value loyalty that much, and competency isn't even a distant second. Competency, I don't think, is in the criteria.
Yeah, I'd agree, Nick, save for the fact that some of these people have been openly critical of him in the past. And he's known to have a fairly long memory about those sorts of things. So, I don't know. I really can't figure out what's going on in terms of why he's doing this. And many of them are not people who necessarily would ever appeal to the base either, other than the fact that he's the one that nominated.
Your error in thinking here was when you used the word logical.
Yes, I'm sorry.
You need to throw that out.
I keep falling into that pothole.
Yes, throw that out. Now let's think about all of the reasons, especially the harebrained ones, why he might be doing this. Don't bother with whether it's a logical plan or not. I don't see a lot of logic being implemented in a lot of this.
Well,
so get out your tinfoil or your aluminium if you're in Britain, and go to town, and you'll probably stumble upon the correct answer faster that way.
Yeah, probably true.
Well, he's very reactionary. Yeah.
I was going to say, in terms of loyalty, it might be that he's appointing people like this to these positions because they know they have no chance of ever rising to positions of that power on their own. So in order to preserve their new power and perquisites and everything else, they're going to toe the line and do exactly what Daddy tells them.
There you go again, trying to apply logic.
And that is, I do think, so Kash Patel has turned kissing ass into an art form the likes of which I have never seen. Again, this is not a joke. I am not this funny. I cannot invent stuff like this. What is the children's book that he wrote? Let me see if I can bring it up here. Where'd it go? I had it a second ago. So here's his. Oh, I was muted for this, and so I missed. So I'm gonna have to repeat myself here. Sorry about that. So this is his book, and I oh my God, The Plot Against the King. Let's see here. Oh, is that okay? So hopefully the audio is back. I just want to get a sound check from it. The audio should be back. What you have here is Kash Patel and his book. It is entitled The Plot Against the King. The king is King Trump, and you can see him here in this image. He is fighting an evil queen. You can see her there on the right, Queen 𝐒𝐤𝐜𝐴𝐿. He is aided by, and you can see there on the left, just to the left of King Trump, you can see the Grand Wizard Kash, who is the greatest wizard ever, helping him. Trump rides a dragon named Jalapeno, and he goes and ultimately defeats Queen 𝐒𝐤𝐜𝐴𝐿. Not a joke. That's it. Please.
He's the wizard.
And he's the wizard. Please do yourself a favor. Go find the picture of King Trump riding the dragon Jalapeno. It's amazing. I just can't believe I'm alive in a year where I can see something like that with the wizard Kash behind him as he's bonking Queen 𝐒𝐤𝐜𝐴𝐿 on the head with his scepter. The book was bought by so many billionaires, I think at least one bought many, many copies of it, that there was a sequel and then a third one. Like I say, this guy knows how to kiss ass like nobody I've ever seen. So that's his children's book. I can't make this up.
I have hope for my children's book. I mean, I wrote a children's book where the main character, which happens to be a frog, dies. So maybe.
If this one can get through, anything can. And there's loads of pictures of him showing the book and Trump, giving the thumbs up and the whole 9 yards. But apparently, it's this book that qualifies him to head the FBI. I don't even, dear Lord. So government shutdown. I'm concerned about RFK. So what RFK has done is one of his lawyers has filed a petition with the FDA to remove, and we already discussed this on In Time, so I won't spend too much time on it. But he has.
It was very sad. I couldn't lament upon this one. I could not opine. Oh
yeah. Well, you can now. That's right, because you weren't able to make it. So RFK his lawyer has sent a petition to the FDA to pull approval for the not polio. Was it polio?
Yes, polio.
No, polio vaccine. So pull approval for the polio vaccine. That will make the polio vaccine unavailable in the United States. Now, this is just a petition. Petitions usually take 2 or 3 months at a minimum to work their way through the FDA, but the head of the FDA can approve them apparently just by fiat. He is currently nominated for head of FDA, which means when he becomes head of the FDA, he could approve this by fiat, and then the polio vaccine is no longer available in the United States. He also wants to either pull approval for a number of vaccines or, at a minimum, remove the federal vaccine mandate, which is actually a reasonably small vaccine mandate. I believe, the MMR is I think the only federal part of the federal mandate, but many states add mandates. So along with the sort of argument that they used on abortion, which is we're not removing abortion, we're kicking it back to the states. They want to remove all federal requirements for vaccines. And if a state says no vaccines are necessary for our children at all, then there you go. But in addition to that, he is going to make some vaccines unavailable, starting with the polio vaccine. That's his goal. Whether or not he can get it done is another question, and he still has to be approved. And this one, there is signs the Senate is going to fight approval on this, and if they don't approve, he can't get in. Having said that, Trump has made this his shibboleth to find out who in the Senate is with him and who is against him, and you're going to have to pick a side. Thoughts?
I think,
Bob. Oh, Bob. You're killing me here.
I think a lot of this is, as I said, it's this initial wave of nominees for these key positions they're wacky, and I think part of it is because he fully intends to fire many of them within 6 months to a year of their being appointed.
Mm-hmm. And then do recess appointments. Actually, he can't right now, if I recall. Or what would be the thinking behind appointing somebody qualified 6 months from now as opposed to trying to get them through now?
That's a good question. I think, as you said, it to some extent is a loyalty check. You know, if this guy is hailed as the biggest imbecile on the planet, and you still don't vote for him because I said he was my nominee, obviously you're an enemy, and I need to make sure that you're flushed out of the party.
And you did talk about that before the show, and I want to ask you about that. I want to get Xandric's opinion, though, first before we do that.
Sure.
There's some things that our good friend Bobby is championing where I'm like, yes, go. You know, like some of the actual health industry, our big food industry, trying to challenge what we actually consider food. It's like, I think he's got some really good ideas when it comes to that. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, out pops his brainworm, and we're going to delist polio. Wait, what? Yeah. Polio? Really? Polio? You want to delist that one because, you know, polio never hurt anybody, and it's really it's like a mildly severe flu, I guess. I mean, it killed people. It crippled them. How many millions died of polio? How many million were crippled? It's like, well, what's next? Measles? Hey, yeah, let's go ahead and bring back me. Oh, wait, that's already happening. We have cases of measles again. Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious! I blame the brainworm because there are some things that he's really, really, really good on and very passionate about, and I'm like, yes, turn him loose on those things. And then he comes up with, yeah, let's delist polio, the polio vaccine. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
I don't know these people anymore.
You'd figure he'd want to nominate somebody like Jenny McCarthy because, you know, then he can sleep with her. I'm just saying, and she's about as anti-vax as you can get.
She is. I'm just wondering if at this point it's the brainworm that's doing the thinking. His brain is shut off, and the worm's sitting there, you know, like he's like a marionette, and the worm is just sitting there going, "What happens if I push this cell, this brain cell? I'm going to trigger this series of neurons, and we'll see what happens." I do like Liam.
He's trying to figure out how to. Yeah, he's just trying to figure out how to figure out. It's like, wow, this is more brain computing power than I've ever had before. What does this do? He's trying to worm his way through the system to figure out how it works now. His poor brainworm's dead, though. It's still there because they can't really get it out. But I mean, it's still, that's sad. I don't know what to think of these people anymore. It's because so many people have cropped up now where you're like, they're really good in one area. And you're like, wow, yes, you're sounding, and then they keep talking, and then suddenly out of left field, you're like, whoa, wait, hey, what happened? Did the aliens come and abduct you and replace you with a doppelganger? Because you no longer sound like reasonable and awesome, and you're like, that's not crazy. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, he lost me at.
Can we?
Yeah, he lost me at the when they went to the beach and they found the dead whale, and he was just like, "Oh, I've got an idea." He sawed the whale's head off, put it on top of the car, driving home. They couldn't roll up the windows because the rope was underneath. So his daughter's describing the story of whale juice, just quote whale juice. That's what she calls it, splattering on her as they're driving home. And I'm just sitting there going like, "Yeah, he belongs in government."
He'd fit right in.
Yeah. So, Liam, I love Liam Wakefield's comment. Little meta. Using shibboleth to figure out who knows about the shibboleth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know. I mean, it looks like he's already got a plan of attack, and he's got lawyers that are reasonably competent who are engaged in this. It looks like the Senate's going to fight him. I hope they do. Yeah. So between that and Kash Patel, maybe I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
As I said to you before the show, I think part of what may be going on is he's going to need to do a Night of the Long Knives house cleaning.
Could you tell us what that is before continuing?
Sure. So Hitler, shortly after he was elected as chancellor, decided that he needed to purge the Nazi Party of people who were potentially disloyal to him. It was less having to do that they were disloyal, but more because he was paranoid and figured that they would try to oust him. And the main group that he feared was the SA, which are, if you've seen movies or pictures from early Nazi years, those are the guys in the brown tunics with the silly little hats on. And they were called the brown shirts. And the head of that group was Ernst Röhm. And so on a specific night, Hitler and all of his close personal henchmen, particularly in the SS, rounded up and executed a couple hundred of the senior-most SA officers to remove that threat. Now, I think a lot of what's going on may have something to do with that kind of house cleaning, of a Night of the Long Knives kind of concept of you have to identify who your potential threats are, the people that aren't loyal to you, that may want to remove you or replace you, and eliminate them. And you see this in a lot of authoritarian states where that's one of the first things they do. They don't head for the people they've been talking about. We hate this group or that group. The first group they target are their own people who pose a threat to them. And I think that may be part of what's going down here is if you nominate a whole bunch of blithering idiots, then you're going to get some people within your own party that will protest this. You identified right there somebody who's a potential threat, who doesn't agree with what you say.
So nominate a brainworm for FDA, head of FDA. Everybody who jumps and says this is the most brilliant thing you've ever done, you let into your inner circle. And anybody who says, you know, let's just take a step back and think about this, you find a way to get rid of.
Yeah, exactly. We're not trying to deal with logic here, as Xander so correctly pointed out. He doesn't care about logic. He cares about loyalty.
Well, and it is actually logical from that sense. I mean, if you I keep nearly in my head because I was thinking of somebody I met a long time ago who actually operated that way, who, if you wanted to be in his inner circle, you had to agree with crazy shit, and if you didn't, you were done. And I've actually experienced people like this firsthand, and it's a little disquieting. It's just so I get it. It's interesting. Now he has The ability to appoint recess appointments was knocked out during the Obama administration, not by Obama, but by Mitch McConnell. And the reason was Mitch McConnell didn't want Obama getting his nominees, especially at that point it was a SCOTUS appointment. So Trump now wants to nominate anybody he wants to as a recess appointment. And he's waiting on. I don't think the House. The House seems to be suggesting, not the House. The Senate seems to be suggesting that they're not going to permit that. And I think that would be a failure of the first test for many members of the Senate. I'm part of me says, how is he going to get rid of them? But he basically got rid of the entire January 6th committee. He destroyed all of them. He's destroyed most of the people who've opposed him in one way or another. It's breathtaking how ignorant he is, but yet how effective. Yeah, sorry.
I think it's also worth noting that before the election, but while the campaign was going on, there was a considerable amount of speculation that whoever was appointed to his cabinet might move to invoke the 25th Amendment and remove him after everything was said and done, because the movers and shakers behind the screen, where the Wizard of Oz is hiding right now, they didn't really want Trump in office. And in fact, they were getting really frustrated because he had more power than they did. So go ahead and let him get elected, and then have this panel of people that you've recommended, oh, these are the guys we want in these positions. And then he lets them get in, and then, they invoke the 25th. Well, if you're only appointing your own crowd, who are loathed and despised by almost everybody, including your own crowd and your own party, then they're very unlikely to ever consider invoking the 25th, because their livelihoods and futures rest entirely on you staying in power.
Oh, and if you think about it, that makes even more sense, because he is a man who's aware of his own vulnerabilities in most cases, keenly aware. And it can't have escaped his notice that a lot of people were talking 25 towards the end of his last administration. And one of the reasons it didn't happen was because Pence shot the idea down. So as much credit as Pence gets for January 6th, you have to remember that there were a lot of cabinet members who were talking 25. I don't know if they ever had enough to actually pull it off, but Pence said, no, that's not going to happen. So Trump doesn't have Pence in his corner, and whether or not Vance would approve, it doesn't really matter. The vice president doesn't actually get a say. It just happened that the vice president in this case, just talked to the cabinet and said no, and they listened to him. So yeah, he's got to be aware of that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I say well aware of, yeah, he's thinking this time around, okay, that was a vulnerability last time, they almost got me. So, all right, well, so to kind of cover what we've already covered, we didn't talk about many of his cabinet picks. We talked about some of the crazier and more outrageous ones, Kash Patel, RFK. It does look like we're going to have a government shutdown, I believe, starting tomorrow. There was a bill that met all of Trump's requirements. I would like to remind people, especially certain people in jail right now associated with January 6th, that he's not in office yet, so he's not actually president. Nonetheless, he made a number of demands in a budget, as they're trying to pass the budget right now, and he made those demands. Those that were trying to fill those demands came up with a bill that nobody else would go with. So as of this moment, it looks like there is no bill. Let's see. Oh, and then Now we do have. Okay, there is. Thank you, Titan. Actually. I will say this, it's one of those, I remember watching Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart, talking about who they were voting for or who they wished would get in office. And what they'd usually say is, or especially, who was it? It was Patton Oswalt who said, well, you're hoping that, Bush gets back into office because then you can make fun of him. And he's like, I would gladly give up all the material I ever got from him being in president to have this country be sane. And I'm sitting there going like, I think this is going to be a really good time for independent news channels on YouTube. And I really don't know how to feel about that because, yay in time, but it's a I don't want to, I'm not happy about paying that cost.
Except that one of the things he said in the past that he intends to move on is changing libel laws.
Yeah.
To the extent that he wants to be able to prosecute comedians who make fun of him.
Yeah, who did that? It wasn't. I'm not thinking Assad. It was the head of Egypt, the guy in Egypt who said outlawed comedians making fun of him. Yeah, that's the first sign of a dictator because they can't. Laughter is one of the best weapons against a bully and a dictator. It truly fucking is. It's amazing. It's not a joke. It's not a laughter. They can't handle it. We have what I would imagine is a truth. It looks like a tweet. Who the hell knows anymore? From Donald J. Trump, from Titan. Thank you. I appreciate it. Spiker. I need a little more sleep. Speaker Mike Johnson and the House have come to a very good deal for the American people. I would like to get the ETA on when this one came in. The newly agreed to American Relief Act of 2024 will keep the government open, fund our great farmers and others, and provide relief for those severely impacted by the devastating hurricanes. I will say this, one of the things I like about Trump is I think it's when he's written something, he wrote it. You know that this isn't like a speechwriter or somebody I can't imagine someone to go up to a writer and say, okay, I'd like you to mimic Trump's style. It's like, look, just going to have an aneurysm and fall over.
Having a fifth grader write your own speech, right?
Yeah. And they did a writing analysis and came up with, he writes at the fifth grade level, which sounds, as a teacher who teaches writing, I would concur. That's about that. I'm not joking. I mean, I teach middle school and high school, and that's fifth grade is where I'd put it. The vocabulary is a little higher, but the structure's spot on for fifth grade. A very important piece, vital to the America First agenda, was added as well. The date of the very Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to try this one once more from the top. Speaker Mike Johnson and the House have come to a very good deal for the American people. The newly agreed to American Relief Act of 2024 will keep the government open, fund our great farmers and others, and provide relief for those severely impacted by the devastating hurricanes. A very important piece, vital to the America First agenda, was added as well. The date of the very unsuccessful debt ceiling will be pushed out 2 years to January 30th, 2027. Now we can make America great again very quickly, which is what people gave us a mandate to accomplish. All Republicans and even Democrats should do what is best for our country and vote yes for this bill tonight. Okay, I actually think this is the bill that crashed. So I'm not sure that they've. Yeah, thank you, Titan. I think this is the bill that crashed, but I'm gonna take a look. I love that even Democrats should do what's right for our country. It's like, oh, okay. And then the very quickly was in this. Now we can make America great again, comma, very quickly, comma, which is what people, capital P, gave us a mandate to accomplish. And that plan, sponsored by Speaker Mike Johnson, endorsed by Trump, has been rejected by the House. Democrats refused to support the bill after Trump and Elon Musk tanked the predecessor bill, which they had not approved. So basically, Elon Musk and Donald Trump appear to have enough control of the Republican side of the House that they can put forth whatever bill they want, and they can override or kill any bill. Well, yeah, they have enough control; they can kill a bill. So apparently, the Democrats put forward a bill. Trump ordered it killed, and it was killed. And in fact, okay, I think I've got the, yep, all right. So, and then Trump's Trump-backed plan has now been rejected. So it looks like the government's coming is going to shut down. And this is going to end up muting us. I got to work on that, but let's just see. Just got me thinking of that. Although I think Musk is, because Musk is reasonably intelligent, I assume he's going to be out at some. And Musk wants things done his way. Do you think he's going to be out reasonably quickly, or do you think that they're going to hold on to him?
I would speculate that if he starts to gain more popularity than Trump, or he starts to tell Trump what to do without listening to him, both of which are things that I could see happening, he's gone. Trump does not want a competitor.
Yeah. What is his issue with the debt ceiling? It's my suspicion is it's the same as many Republicans argue is their issue with the debt ceiling, which is that they want to curb spending. But raising the ceiling is to pay for what's already been spent. And when you screw with the debt ceiling, you screw with America's credit rating, which is extraordinarily important. I mean, if you've ever bought a home, you know how important your credit rating is. Now think of an entire country and its credit rating. We sell a lot of debt. We have a lot of people investing in this country. Our credit rating is extraordinarily important. You don't screw with the debt ceiling. I can empathize as much as anybody with cutting back spending, but you don't do that by not raising the debt ceiling. They're actually two different things. They're not unrelated. I can see how, but, and it's not that Republicans don't get that. They get it. They just want to tie it because what was it Mitch McConnell said? It may not be a hostage worth shooting, but it's a hostage worth taking. Oh, so that's the entire U.S. economy you're taking. Yeah. Yeah.
But,
all right.
Who's going to be impacted? Not the billionaires.
And it actually goes to what you said earlier about the law being there to protect the wealthy and. Yeah. Somebody else. That's
if everybody else goes bankrupt, they can buy up all the land for almost nothing.
Yep. Which is, by the way, what they're doing in Hawaii. Economy. Yeah, they're doing that in Hawaii. They're buying up all the land that got burned, and people have moved out, and now they're buying up all that land for new development. And they're trying to buy out everybody that's left. They're going to turn the entire island of I don't think it's Hawaii they're going after right now. I think it's like Kauai or one of the small ones. They're trying to basically push everybody out and turn the entire thing into a tourist island, which Hawaii is kind of right now anyway. But I mean, there are people who live there and work there and they have nothing to do with tourism. All right. Well, one last explanation, and then we'll wrap this up, which is In Time is actually 2 channels, and we've been operating on one as we've been getting our legs back under us and trying to get our numbers back up, and we are ready to go back to the 2 separate channels. So In Time and Downtime are both simulcasting this stream. You could be watching us on In Time, you could be watching us on Downtime. Both are showing the same show. We're doing this just to make our audience aware that going forward, the more informal downtime shows like this are going to be on the Downtime channel, which is pinned at the top. So if you want to see these shows, it's usually Commander Macmillan and I. Sometimes we'll bring in a guest. Sunday and Brooks come in often, and they're a lot of fun. And sometimes we talk politics. Sometimes we talk we tell our Christmas hooker stories, wherever it goes. So Downtime After Dark, which is our call-in show, and we absolutely should see if we can get some of our other guests. I don't know, it would probably be difficult, but not impossible to do a call-in show with Viper or someone like that. But that would also be something that would be on Downtime. So Downtime is our kind of more laid-back channel, also channels where we tend to interact with the live chat a bit more. We, like I said, our call-in shows, and we may be having a Christmas thing on Downtime coming up, and we'll see. I know. So, if it weren't for the last minute, I wouldn't get anything done. So we'll work on that. But go like, subscribe, and if you watch, we need some watch hours there to get it remonetized. It's pretty close to monetized. It had over 1,000 subs, but it dipped because we were down for a little while. And but at any rate, we do appreciate your support. Thank you so much. In Time will continue as it has with our regular In Time show and the rundown and breaking news. So our more serious stuff going to continue on In Time. If you're already subscribed there and that's your preferred stuff, there you go. You're good. Make sure you share if you like the content. Downtime will be our more laid-back stuff. So this is your last chance. Go over and like, subscribe, ring the bell so that you can continue to get Downtime and the other laid-back material that we do. Having said that, any final thoughts, Xandering, on anything that we've talked about tonight? Do not say we are banning on in time, downtime, off time, out of time, any of our time, all the time banning. May you live in interesting times. Having said that, any final thoughts?
I believe that I have the revocation power, so I will revoke that. You do have your sexy Grinch costume ready for the Christmas stream, right? The one with the red bikini.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yes. That's what. Listen, I lost the bet, so I have
slutty
to.
Santa. I'm going as slutty Santa. So if we get to 2,000 followers, I think they're called followers on YouTube. I think I'd know that, but if we get 2,000 by Christmas, I'll actually turn my camera on and we can do the slutty Santa stream.
Hold on.
I'm not sure that I'm helping our channel.
Yeah, people are unsubscribing. Wait a minute. We just lost 10, 50, 20, 30. Jesus, I've never seen. It was a joke. Oh crap. Okay, so now we need. Okay, wait a minute.
We're just going to have to simulcast a few more shows, aren't we?
We just went into negative subscribers. YouTube is like, yeah, we don't want to see a Xandering in a mankini. So we'll just like.
No, you don't want to see this awesome trucker bot in a mankini.
Listen, I've seen Math Pig in a mankini, and the amount of even with just the deductibles, even with insurance. The medical coverage came to like about $6,000 on health, just mental. It's just like, and they're like, okay, we're going to put some electrodes and try to just blast that out. No. And there are people in the live chat who know what I'm talking about. That was not, in fact, actually, he may do that again for Christmas. I got to think about that before I think about this, like joining this whole Christmas party that everyone's doing. Because if he's doing that mankini thing, he's done that like 2 or 3 years in a row, and it's just I did contact the UN. They haven't gotten back to me on whether or not it's a crime against humanity. I got in touch with them 6 months ago. They still haven't gotten back to me. It's almost like they didn't read the letter. I'm going to send it again because I think it qualifies. I think it's a crime against humanity. I really do. Anyways, I'm going to hold up my end. I was drunk, but yes, I made the bet. I'm a man of my word. Okay.
Awesome. And I don't have to end with "May you live in interesting times," because I think it's pretty clear that we are in interesting times.
Yeah. We're going to be busy.
Brainworm for FDA.
Brainworm for FDA. I wonder if he's going to mandate that everyone get a brainworm. Imagine that he's going to sit there and say, "Well, my brainworm actually now I have two brains because the worm had a brain. I've got a brain, so now I think twice as much. So everybody needs a brainworm."
I really, really wish that these worms were of the same caliber and quality as the truck stop egg salad sandwich worms from Futurama. I'd be all for that.
All right. So, Commander, any final thoughts before we go?
I know that this isn't specifically a show where we talk about Ukraine. You can have other ones where you do that. But I, for one, am going to be watching with very keen interest the first couple of weeks after the inauguration to see what, if any, policies come out of the Orange 𝐍𝐤𝐜𝐴 office with regards to U.S. support for Ukraine. Because he's been making noises as if he intends to continue supporting them. But I trust that man about as far as, I don't know, a micron.
I did at one point think about having and we're going to do we're going to do that. Hopefully it's not too late. Let me we're going to start a new Christmas tradition here on In Time. So there is a goat in Sweden. It's made of wood and straw, and every year, and we have this on our Discord in the memes section, I think, but I may put a copy in the general. I'd air it now, but we're probably already struck. But nonetheless, I don't want more trouble, so I'm not going to air it. But it's a 1-minute video on this thing. It's an awesome goat. It's a really big Christmas goat made of wood and straw that this one town puts up every year. The problem is the town people want to destroy it every year. It's just become town tradition. The town genuinely tries to stop them. So there's like a $10,000 fine for anyone who damages this goat. There's they have guards around it. They have security cameras. And every year the town nonetheless tries to destroy the goat. They've been doing this for about 60 years. No, I think they've been doing it over 60 years. So far, the goat has survived 18 years and been destroyed 59 years, including being burned, smashed by a car, and somebody who put bird seed all over it, so it was picked to death by birds, and another guy who came in with a helicopter and tried to carry this thing away. There is a live feed of this goat and its current status, and I wanted to get it like in the bottom right corner, so we could just have a live feed and keep an eye on the goat and see if he makes it. 18 to 59 odds aren't great. But what blows my mind is the people of the town pay the taxes to protect the goat that they're trying to burn down. If there is a better encapsulation of just the human mindset, I don't know. I can't. It's just like they're like, let's pay all this money to build a goat, and then hire people to guard it, and then we're going to burn it down. So you can see that on our Discord in the memes channel. We're going to have a live goat feed on the bottom right on Downtime going forward, because I'm very concerned for his safety. The goat is clearly the goat pissed off somebody. I don't know what it is, but it's worth looking into. Thank you all for your support. I think I didn't cut you off, right, Commander? You were talking about Ukraine, and
yeah, we're good.
All right, perfect. So
I could add to your goat story, but
please do. I like the goat story. Add to it, and then we'll wrap up.
I visited a friend over Christmas one year. He lived in St. Paul at the time. And there was a car dealership that every year when winter came around, they put up this huge, I don't know what it was made of, but it was a giant polar bear. And the locals, up until they would take it down, which was like the day after New Year's or whatever, would drive by and fire arrows. Nobody shot it with a gun. It was always arrows into this thing. And, you know, they'd be sticking out all over it. By the end of the season, the thing looked like a bloody porcupine with all the arrows sticking out of it. And he said, they do this every year, and they've been doing it since, like, you know, the 30s or the 40s or something, which I always thought was fascinating. Now, I don't know if they're still doing it today, but that would be an interesting thing to find out.
Somebody's going to get hit. Well, yeah. And there is a live feed of the goat, and I think, I don't know why, I just think that it's one of the important world news stories we need to cover. We're going to keep an eye on that goat. We've got a link to the live feed too in the Discord, so you can check the status of the goat. I checked on him this morning, he was fine, but that's one determined town, let me tell you. All right. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Commander. Thank you, 𝐒𝐸𝐿. Thank you to all of the mods. Thank you for the super chat. Let me just double check and make sure that we didn't get anything that I missed. No, I think we got all of them. Thank you so much. Thank you to those of you who've gone to Downtime and subbed and watched there, because we do need the hours. And again, it really does affect the algorithm having both shows on one. It affects it. So we'd like to, in time, to grow a little faster. And part of that is just going to have to be that show. That side's going to get a little tighter, and all the shenanigans are going to go somewhere else. It's a lot of shenanigans, as you can tell. So it's going to get its own channel. So thank you also to just sort of all of our subscribers, all the people who just come to every show and participate in the live chat. Thank you to those of you who just support just by watching and hitting the thumbs up button or the subscribe button. And thank you, Titan, for once again going through this. 𝐒𝐸𝐿 may have a point that we should do this again. I said once more, this is it. This is the last downtime on In Time. You're going to have to see us on the other channel. Titan's one of those that is important enough around here that we need him sane, and I've been pushing it a little recently. So thank you very much, Titan, for all your work. Thank you again, mods, and we will see you all Tuesday. I suspect that's Christmas Day, but we'll probably be doing a show then. But until then, see you on the Discord, and thank you all for joining us. Have a great night.